Screaming's going. All right, let me go ahead and share this on the Book of Face. Let's turn down. Let me share this on the Book of Face. Share this on Facebook. Ooh. Share it on Facebook. Ooh. Ooh, ooh. Share it on Facebook. Ooh, ooh. On the Book of Face. Oh, that is not what I need right there. Share it on Facebook. Oh, that's why my phone hasn't been turning off. Well, share it on Facebook. Ooh. I feel like singing. Hey, whoever's in here and is having to listen to me sing, I do apologize. I'm in a singing mood, and my voice is just okay enough for me to get away with it. So I do apologize. Hey, thank you. I do enjoy this sombrero very much. I think it's pretty cool. It looks cool with my haircut, but because my hair's cut so low right now, it's loose without a scarf on. And it's been a while since I've had me a long braid. So, I had to give myself a little bit of a little braid. It's fun. Thank you, Sarante. I will, as I'm getting everything else set up. Let's see what I got over here. Nothing. Wow, took out forever to do that, but okay. Let's see. What am I trying to do? Go live. I'll deal with that after the fact. Title. But you're so far away. Said you're far away. I gotta learn the words to this song because I really like it. Bum, 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 bum. Next to you. But you're so far away. Said you're far away. I just knocked my hat. Okay, but the fit look kind of fire on Instagram. The fit look a little fire on Instagram. I ain't mad. Hey, y'all. Hey, Instagram. Okay, I'm excited about my outfit now. Now that I'm bald, I am going to allow myself to enjoy an occasional scarf ponytail. I am going to welcome in, y'all. Welcome in. I'm going to give it. I know it's been about 7 minutes over here on Facebook, but it's only been a couple of minutes on these two. So I'm going to give it another moment or so. Y'all, we made it to the end of the week. Gosh, it was a long week. I still have jet lag from Vegas. Y'all, it's been a long week. I don't feel awake. I usually see when I'm on East Coast time, I feel awake at 7 a.m. My body is just 7 o'clock. It's time for Taylor to go. But since I've been back, that's been pushed back to 10 a.m. because I'm still on their time and I was only there for a weekend. Whatever. Today is International Dance Day. So I think that means that the video I do today is for Instagram is going to be a dance video. It has to be. It's International Dance Day. I feel like it's only appropriate that I do a dance video for International Dance Day. It's a shame that I can never play music in any of these videos because I'd love to be playing music and, jamming away right now. But I cannot do that. Thank you, copyright people or whatever. I don't have enough water. I'll be back with my scarf ponytail. I kind of like Janelle Monáe. I don't know. It's giving Janelle. It's giving Janelle Monáe. You know what I mean? Where's my water? What have I got to lose? Gotta get next to you when you're so far away. Says you're far. No. Oh, I gotta share it on Twitter. I have to share it on Twitter, y'all. Let's see. Twitter. Share. Oh my gosh, if I could type correctly, that'd be perfect. Join us. Tweet. What? How? What is happening? Am I still live? Ha! Cancel. There. What's happening? This is very weird right now, y'all. This is very weird. I'm going to have to restart the live video on Instagram. Look. It's weird. Okay, and now. That was weird. Delete that video. Cancel? No, I'm not going to delete it. Get rid of it. That was terrible. Instagram is so unenjoyable now. I really wish it would be better, but it's not. Let's try this again. Let's get Instagram together, and once Instagram is together, we're doing it. We're reading the book. We're getting in there, okay? Y'all good? Y'all all right over here on Instagram? You gonna do anything else weird that I can't enjoy? All right. YouTube's up. Facebook's up. Instagram is up. Welcome to Reading with Miss Taylor Said. My name is Taylor. I'm also known as Miss Taylor Said. Welcome in, y'all. I don't know what happened over here on Instagram, but something weird happened. So I'm glad we're all better and all right. Okay. So, welcome. Thank you. Hello. Oh, my girls are here now. Okay, sorry. My girls always gas me up and it makes me feel good. Okay, anyway, I'm excited about my old scarf ponytail. Anyway, we've been up here for 11 minutes on Facebook. Sorry for making y'all wait. Welcome to Reading with Miss Taylor Said. My name is Taylor. I'm also known as Miss Taylor Said, and I started this show on November 30th of 2020 in an effort to complete some goals of mine. One of those goals being that I wanted to actually complete the books that I own. I own a lot of books. I've accumulated them over the years, and I have not completed most of them. So through this show, I'm working my way through the books that I've started to read or I've wanted to read because obviously I got it. So I wanted to read it at some point. And so I'm working through those books now through this show. The second reason I started this show is because I want to get more comfortable with reading aloud in front of an audience. The things I want to do in my career are going to involve me reading teleprompters, scripts, cue cards, speeches, things like that. Thank you. Cue cards, speeches, things like that. And I want to be able to I want to be able to read those things the proper way with the proper, articulation and all of that and enunciation, all the things. I want to be able to present those words in the way they're meant to be presented while still giving myself and my personality through it. The third reason why I started this show is because I want to get more comfortable with public speaking. I used to do public speaking all the time, whether it was through performance poetry or actually giving speeches. I used to do public speaking in high school and in college, and I got away from it for the last few years. And I want to get back into it. That's where I feel most comfortable. That's where I feel most like myself, when I'm able to express myself through my words in front of a group of people. That is where I feel the happiest. So I'm very thankful for you all to be here. I'm thankful for you guys. Thankful for you guys being here. Let's go ahead and get into the book. Ooh, y'all, I ain't gonna hold you. I have been on the phone since I've been back. Friends, new friends, just on the phone. It's okay. It's all right. I almost missed the last couple of shows. You ain't really missed much of anything. The first show, girl, Monday, there won't no show. Let me tell you. Monday won't no show. Tuesday, I didn't read. I just read. Like, I didn't read the book. I read folk. I just was going in. Spirit was moving through me, and I delivered a word. It was church on Tuesday. Wednesday, I was so tired, we only read for 20 minutes. Girl, you ain't missing nothing. We getting into the 4 types of emotionally immature parents. That's all you miss. We're going into the descriptions of them now. Okay? Ain't no worries. You ain't missed much of nothing. I've been recovering from vacation, and it has not been easy. And the crazy thing is, I wasn't even out there doing the Vegas stuff. Like, oh, Vegas. I wasn't even toe up or nothing like that. I wasn't even toe up. It's just the time. It's the time change. Anyway, so there are 4 types of emotionally immature parents: emotional parents, driven parents, passive parents, and rejecting parents. There are 4 types of parents. So the first parent we're going to get into is the emotional parent. Y'all ready? Let's go ahead. Oh, and just because I didn't even tell y'all, we are reading Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Don't look at this middle nail because it broke, okay? And I'm not cutting the rest of the nails to match it. Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. That's the book we're reading. So let's get into it. The emotional parent. Emotional parents are the most infantile of the 4 types. They give the impression that they need to be watched over and handled carefully. It doesn't take much to upset them. And then everyone in the family scrambles to soothe them. When emotional parents disintegrate, they take their children with them into their personal meltdown. Their children experience their despair, rage, or hatred in all its intensities. It's no wonder that everyone in the family feels like they're walking on eggshells. These parents' emotional instability is the most predictable thing about them. Listen. Yes, I know. It's going to be good. We all going to find a little something in here. These parents' emotional instability is the most predictable thing about them. At the severe end of the spectrum, these parents are, quite frankly, mentally ill. They may be psychotic or bipolar, or they have narcissistic or borderline personality disorder. At times, their unbridled emotionality can even result in suicide attempts or physical attacks on others. People are nervous around them because their emotions can escalate so quickly, and because it's so frightening to see someone come unglued. That was weird. People are nervous around them because their emotions can escalate so quickly, and because it's so frightening to see someone come unglued. Sorry about that. Suicide threats are especially terrifying to children who feel the crushing burden of trying to keep their parent alive but don't know what to do. At the milder end of the spectrum, emotional instability is the biggest issue, perhaps in the form of histrionic personality disorder or cyclothemic. Hold on, y'all. I'm stuck on a word right now. Cyclothymic disorder, or a cyclothymic disorder characterized by alternating episodes of high and low mood. Regardless of severity, all such parents have difficulty tolerating stress and emotional arousal. They lose their emotional balance and behavioral control in situations mature adults could handle. Of course, substance abuse may make them even more unbalanced and unable to tolerate frustration or distress. Whatever their degree of self-control, these parents are governed by emotion. Seeing the world in black and white terms, keeping score, holding grudges, and controlling others with emotional tactics. Their fluctuating moods and reactivity make them unreliable and intimidating. And while they may act helpless and usually see themselves as victims, family life always revolves around their moods. Although they often control themselves outside the family, where they can follow a structured role, within the crucible of intimate family relationships, they display their full impulsivity, especially if intoxicated. It can be shocking to see how no holds barred they can get. Many children of such parents learn to subjugate themselves to other people's wishes. Because they grew up anticipating their parents' stormy emotional weather, they can be overly attentive to other people's feelings and moods, often to their own detriment. Yes, I'm just going to go ahead and agree with that from experience. Yes. Brittany's story. Despite the fact that Brittany was in her 40s and living independently, her mother, Shonda, still tried to control Brittany with her emotions. Once, when Shonda was in bed sick for several days, Shonda's anxiety mounted until she called Brittany 5 times in one day. She also stopped by because she thought it was time for Brittany to get out of bed, even though Brittany had asked her not to come over. Finally, Brittany latched the screen door so Shonda couldn't get in. Later, Shonda told her, when you locked me out, I was so angry that I wanted to break your door down. When confronted about her intrusiveness, Shonda acted wounded and hid behind the excuse, I just needed to know you're better. But the truth was, her primary concern was with her own feelings, not with what Brittany needed. We oftentimes, some of us have parents that are like that, where it's like on the extreme spectrum is this, but it's basically what it boils down to is that everyone in the house has to prioritize this person's emotions. If this person is not okay, the whole house is not okay. If this person is happy, everyone needs to be happy. You can't have a bad day if this person's having a good day, because then you're ruining their good day. When they react to things, it's high emotion and reactivity. There's no proactive behavior. It's just high emotion and reactivity. And like the smallest thing can make them go, ah. And honestly, I'm not even going to hold y'all. Like, I feel like a lot of people with Black moms get that. I think a lot of us, I can't speak for having a white mom because I've never had a white mom before. But I feel like a lot of us with Black moms have to deal with that emotional, like them being emotional and reactive. Especially because there's not really spaces where they can be emotional. There's not a lot of spaces where they can be emotional. And so the most vulnerable person that can't deny you space to be emotional are your children. Your spouse can deny you space to be emotional. Your coworkers can deny you space. Your other adult family members can deny you space. Your friends can deny you space. Your children cannot. Because they're in a place where they don't have any leverage in that relationship. They just exist under your ruling. So a lot of times it ends up being that that's where all the emotional energy is directed. And like, because they had a bad day at work, everybody got to have a bad day at home because there's no space for them to release that or let that go. And I'm saying this from a place of compassion, because like I said, it's not a lot of places where they can give that they can have that emotional space. There's not a lot of spaces. Like, you have to go through your life and make radical changes along the way. And there are people that do it, but most people don't, or don't have the capacity to do it, or don't know that that's what they need to do. They don't know they need to go get friends that they can share emotions with. They don't know that they they need to change their partner because their partner, just because they've been together all these years, they don't realize that, oh, I'm experiencing trauma on a daily basis because of my partner, not because, my life just sucks. Because a lot of people just believe their life just sucks. A lot of people believe like the world just hates me and life just sucks, when in reality, and then they're constantly traumatized because the people that they've chosen post leaving their family reflect the people in their family, but they don't realize that yet. So they basically left the home, recreated their family with all these people they chose, and now they're stuck feeling obligated to these people, and they feel like they can't leave them, and they feel like they can't like get out of these relationships, whether they be friendships or romantic relationships. And especially if if the people that they chose relationship with were there for them in a time of need, they feel obligated to them. Even, y'all, my hand is dry AF and it is bothering me. Sorry. They feel obligated to them even. So it's like they get stuck. Because like literally, if you can't see, like if you can't see, if this ain't open, if it ain't open, you can't see, and then you get stuck in the rut that is the life that most people around us accept. And it's frustrating to watch. It's disappointing to watch, because like for some people, you can look at them and you just like, dude, literally, if you just get rid of that person, that one right over, the one that's right over there, them, yes, them, get rid of them, that's that one right behind you. Yes, the one that looks like a leech that's just attached to your neck and sucking the life out of you. Get rid of them, please. Like you can't just go up to people and tell them that. But we are getting in a space, and that's why this show is here, because we're getting in a space where we can identify, all right, these are behaviors that are not acceptable. When you choose relationship with people, your emotional needs have to be met. That's it. However, if you have an adult whose emotional needs are not being met in any aspect of their life, and the only place where they can kind of get a sample of emotional needs being met is through their child, who has no say in the matter, then all of their emotional exchanges will be with their child, and none of the adults will have to feel their wrath in as intense of a way, because the children are helpless. It sucks. It really does. And then that stuff carries on into adulthood, because there is also this entitlement that parents have to their children, where they feel like they own their children and that their children owe them. And here's the thing. You're a biological figure. You're a biological creature that created another biological creature. And while you can love and protect and be the parent for the child and do everything you're supposed to do to parent the child, you don't own them. You're responsible for them, yes, but owning them, no. No one can own another person. So really, it's just, and they don't owe you anything because they didn't ask to be here. So I remember seeing this video where it was just like the person, she was like, my kids, they owe me nothing and I owe them everything. Because them little Nicholas didn't ask to be here. You know what I'm saying? They didn't ask to be here. Anyway. My mouth is dry because I have not had enough water today. Let's continue. Let me a second, because this is going to bother me. And I can leave for a second when something going to bother me. All right. Let's get into the next parent. I was about to say, if anyone owes, it's the parent who brought the child into life. Yeah. And that's coming from a parent. So I know there are parents that may watch this and be like, you don't have a child, you don't know. That's precisely why I don't have a child. That's precisely why. Because I'm not in a position where I'm ready to bring someone into the world when I'm not emotionally ready for it. I'm not emotionally ready for a child. I'm not financially ready for a child. I understand that there are several circumstances where people end up with children, and I'm not judging. However, if someone's going to scream at me and be like, you're not a parent, you don't know, I'm going to say what are the facts for me, you know? All right. So the next one is the driven parent. Driven parents are the type that I feel like there's not supposed to be an S there. Driven parents are the type that tends to look most normal, even appearing exceptionally invested in their children's lives. Being driven, they're always focused on getting things done. Yes. Yes. She still deserves everything that she deserves. Being driven, they're always focused on getting things done. Whereas emotional parents are obvious in their immaturity, driven parents seem so invested in their child's success that their egocentrism is hard to see. Most of the time, you wouldn't notice anything unhealthy about them. However, their children may have trouble with either initiative or self-control. Paradoxically, these very involved, hardworking parents often end up with unmotivated, even depressive children. If you look a bit deeper, you can detect the emotional immaturity in these upstanding, responsible people. It shows up in the way they make assumptions about other people, expecting everyone to want and value the same things they do. Their excessive self-focus manifests as a conviction that they know what's good for others. They don't experience self-doubt at a conscious level and prefer to pretend that everything is settled and they already have the answers. Rather than accepting their children's unique interest and life paths, they selectively praise and push what they want to see. Their frequent interference in their children's lives is legendary. In addition, their worry about getting enough done runs them like a motor. Goals take precedence over the feelings of others, including their children. Driven parents usually grew up in an emotionally depriving environment. They learn to get by on their own efforts rather than expecting to be nurtured. Often self-made, they're proud of their independence. They fear that their children will embarrass them by not succeeding. Yet they can't offer their children the unconditional acceptance that would give them a secure foundation from which to go out and achieve. Whether they mean to or not, driven parents make their children feel evaluated constantly. An example would be a father who makes his kids practice the piano in front of him so he can point out their mistakes. This kind of excessive oversight often sours children on seeking adult help for anything. As a result, in adulthood, they may resist connecting with potential mentors. Certain they know the best way to do things, driven parents sometimes do outlandish things. One mother insisted on going to her adult daughter's house to pay her bills because she was sure her daughter wouldn't do it right. Another mother bought her adult son a used car he hadn't asked for and was hurt when he didn't want it. And one young man's father made his son weigh himself every day in front of him when he gained weight. If you think back to the infant attachment studies described at the beginning of this chapter, driven parents seem similar to some of the emotionally insensitive mothers of insecurely attached babies. Out of sync with their child's moment-to-moment experience, they don't adapt themselves to their children's needs. Instead, they push their child toward what they think he or she should be doing. As a result, the children of driven parents always feel they should be doing more or be doing something other than whatever they are doing. I have a friend who is the child of driven parent or parents, and she literally experiences guilt for like different things, like because of the indoctrination from her parents, like for different things, like, you know, if putting in a 2 weeks notice and working the whole 2 weeks, lest they not be, you know, helpful to the people that they work with, like stuff like that, where other people who didn't have driven parents may not care about it as much. They'd be like, I put my 2 weeks in, but I'm not going to go for the rest of the week, you know. But like, that's something that's just like, no, this bothers me. And that comes from driven parents, hardworking, constantly working parents. But yeah, like that's where that comes from. But it's so many other things too. And it's like, I've seen people who have driven parents, and the desire to do anything, especially stuff that their parents were like intense about them doing, like things that they're talented in or skills that they've acquired because their parents told them to or whatever. It's like having driven parents just sucked all the joy and passion and excitement out of that. So now it's not even something they would want to pursue or want to do. Ciao. Okay, let's see. So John's story. Although John was 21, he spent a lot of time with his parents and didn't feel any ownership of his life. Describing how he felt around his mother, he said, I'm constantly on her radar. John felt so pressured by his parents' hopes for him that he lost all confidence in his own ideas for his future. As he put it, I worry so much about what they expect from me, I have no idea what I want. I'm just trying to keep my parents happy and off my case. This was especially true on family vacations, when John felt that his father got really angry if John wasn't having a good enough time. John's parents were so over-involved in his life that he was afraid to set any goals, since that seemed to make them even pushier about what he needed to do next. They were killing his initiative by always urging him to do a bit more or try a little harder. At a conscious level, they wanted the best for John, but they were tone deaf when it came to respecting and fostering his autonomy. Christine's story. Christine was an attorney with a very domineering father, Joseph, who constantly pushed her to be successful. Early in our work together, she described her childhood like this. My father controlled me. He couldn't stand anyone having a different opinion. It was absolutely intolerable to him. I was so afraid of making the wrong choice that I made a lot of decisions based on fear. It was as if my father completely owned me. Even in college, I had to be home by 11, which was extremely embarrassing, but I wouldn't have dreamed of challenging him. Joseph even tried to control Christine's thoughts. If Christine came up with an idea her father didn't like, his response was immediate. Don't even think about it. The more I listen to this book, the more I'm glad my parents are parents that don't get me wrong. Some of their actions are in this, but it's literally nothing compared to some of these parents others had to deal with. I'm thankful for you too, Sorante. I'm so grateful for you, because I feel like it's not often I meet people whose parents were just normal parents, regular loving on their kids' parents, and not all of this, like emotionally mature parents. I feel like it's not often I meet people that have those. So back to Christine's story. Joseph also had a lack of empathy that made him a terrible teacher. He couldn't sense what might be terrifying to a child, so he tried to teach Christine to swim by literally dropping her in a pool. As Christine put it, he would command me to do well, but didn't offer any guidance or help. I was simply ordered to be a success. To all outward appearances, Christine did become a success, but on the inside, she felt a tremendous insecurity, like she didn't really know what she was doing. Child. Ooh. A lot of us got the combo package of this. The passive parent. Passive parents aren't angry or pushy like the other three types, but they still have negative effects. They passively acquiesce to dominant personalities and often partner with more intense types who are also immature, which makes sense given that people with similar emotional maturity levels are attracted to one another. Compared to the other types, these parents seem more emotionally available, but only up to a point. When things get too intense, they become passive, withdraw emotionally, and hide their heads in the sand. They don't offer their children any real limits or guidance to help them navigate the world. They may love you, but they can't help you. Passive parents are as immature and self-involved as the other types, but their easygoing and often playful ways make them much more lovable than the other three types, emotional, driven, or rejecting. They are often the favorite parent and can show some empathy for their children as long as doing so doesn't get in the way of their needs. And because they can be as egocentric as the other types, passive parents may use their children to meet their own emotional needs, primarily their need to be the focus of someone's affectionate attention. They enjoy the child's innocent openness and can get on the child's level in a delightful way. The child loves his or her time with this parent, but because the child is often feeling the parent's need for an admiring, attentive companion, it becomes a kind of emotional incest. Ooh, let's read that again. The child loves his or her time with this parent, but because the child is often feeling the parent's need for an admiring, attentive companion, it becomes a kind of emotional incest. This kind of relationship is never completely comfortable for the child because it poses the risk of making the other parent jealous and even may feel sexualized. Children wisely know not to expect or ask for much help from these parents. While passive parents often enjoy their children, have fun with them, and make them feel special, the children sense that their parents aren't really there for them in any essential way. In fact, these parents are famous for turning a blind eye to family situations that are harmful to their children, leaving their children to fend for themselves. When the mother is the passive parent, she may stay with a partner who demeans or abuses her children because she doesn't have an independent income. Such mothers often numb themselves to what's going on around them. For example, one mother later referred to her husband's violent attacks on their children with the mild statement, "Daddy can be tough sometimes." In their own upbringing, passive parents often learn to stay out of the line of fire, keeping a low profile and subjugating themselves to stronger personalities. As adults, it doesn't occur to them that they have a mission not only to have fun with their own children, but to protect them. Instead, they go into a kind of trance during the worst times, retreating into themselves and finding other passive ways to weather the storm. In addition to unthinkingly abandoning their children when the going gets rough, these parents may leave the family if they get a chance at a happier life. If the passive but more emotionally connected parent leaves the family for any reason, the wound to the child can be especially deep, since the abandonment came from the parent who meant the most to the child. Ooh. I feel a lot of pain reading that. It's not really my own. Children who adored a passive parent can become adults who make excuses for other people's abandoning behavior. As children, they believed nothing could be done about their childhood situation and that the passive parent was truly helpless. They're often taken aback by the idea that their wonderful, nice parent actually had a responsibility to stand up for them when they couldn't protect themselves as children. They've never considered that parents have a duty to put their children's emotional welfare at least on an even footing with their own interests. Molly's story. This one is painful. Yeah, this one's painful. Ooh, this one is very painful. Molly's story. Molly's mother was a short-tempered, physically abusive woman who worked long hours and usually came home in a foul mood. Her father was a sweet, affectionate man who was usually in good spirits. He was fond of puttering in the garage when he wasn't at work, so Molly was mostly left in the care of her abusive, demeaning older sister, apparently with no consideration of how Molly might be treated. Molly's safe haven was her relationship with her father. His kindness was the single bright spot and source of love in her life. Welcome in. Where was I? His kindness was the single bright spot and source of love in her life, and she both worshiped him and felt protective of him. It never occurred to her to expect him to protect her. For example, once when her mother flew into a rage and was beating Molly in the den, she heard her father banging pots around in the kitchen. She interpreted this as his way of letting her know he was still there for her. She had no expectation that he should step in and stop the abuse. This is a poignant example of how emotionally deprived children try to put a positive spin on their favorite parent's behavior no matter what. Molly also had a slight stutter, and one time on a trip to an amusement park, Molly's sister and her friends teased Molly about it so much that she became hysterical. Molly's father laughed it off rather than admonishing the older kids or attending to Molly's feelings. On the drive home, everyone laughed uproariously as they took turns imitating Molly's speech impediment. That that's familiar to me. I experienced my family, we had that behavior. We had that. I had to deal with that, but not. But yeah. Oh God. Oh, this book is triggering. I'm so sorry. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I did not realize I was about to say all of that. Whew. It's weird because it's like finding out that that's not just roasting. And this is the issue I have with roast culture. Like, I know that roasting is a part of us. Like, I know that roasting is a part of our culture. I understand why it's there. We laugh. We use laughter as medicine for our pain. And I get it. But sometimes that roast shit, it's like you want to be the fun parent. You want to be the fun parent that does the roasting, but not realizing that the roasting affects your kids and affects how they feel. Because that's fun parent stuff. They're the fun parent. The passive parent is the fun parent. The weekend parent, especially the weekend parents. Oh my God, the weekend parents are so passive. Because what you gonna say? You're not with me during the week. You play pretend being my parent. You ain't even really, what you doing? Weekend parent? Like, what you doing? Ooh. I'm gonna keep reading. You ain't about to mock any disabilities I have and think shit is funny and sweet. You get knocked in your mouth. Hey, listen, because you need to get knocked in your mouth. Like, I really don't condone violence and stuff like that, but listen, we're humans. We're humans. That ain't roasting. That's just cruel. You don't pick on disabilities, especially when you're aware of how they feel about it and their family and friends. You don't do that. You're right. You don't do that. You don't do that. You don't. Excuse me, y'all. I probably should have made me a cup of coffee. I had coffee in the pot earlier. I might still have some after this. All right, I'm gonna read the last one. And well, we honestly can finish the chapter. I think. If I don't stop and talk, yeah, we should finish the chapter. That's what we're gonna do. Y'all still with me? If you're not, that's fine. There's an exercise here. So if you want to get a piece of paper, just to tally up, or however you guys want to do it, there's going to be another of those things where we check, which ones apply to our parents. And yeah. So the last one is the rejecting parent. Rejecting parents seem to have a wall around them. They don't want to spend time with their children. Hold on, before I continue. I grew up where I had my cousins, uncles, and aunts pick on me for all sorts of stuff, thinking it was funny when it was just me growing up and being a child. They picked on everyone who was smaller, and it's yet one of a list of reasons why I don't associate with them. I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. I'm really sorry you had to deal with that. Listen, I don't really deal with my people either. The disrespect is why put up with disrespect when I literally don't have to do that in any other part of my life. I don't have to tolerate other people's disrespect in any other part of my life, but because we blood, I got to tolerate yours. Fuck out of here. No, I won't. I don't have to. I'm not obligated. Are you paying my bills? No. Are you coming to my aid when I need help? No. Are you emotionally supportive of me? No. Do you do anything to pour into me? No. And at the same time, when I deal with you, I have to worry about if I'm going to be criticized, ridiculed, scrutinized, roasted, joked on, whatever. I got to worry about that too, because I do. No, I'm good. I'll just stay in my little bubble right up here in Greensboro. And y'all read this book and the other books that I've been reading, work on emotional maturity, get some therapy. We might be able to have a conversation, And that's real talk. If you got to be like that with your family, man, like, I'm doing too much work. And the people around me that I spend most of my time with are doing too much work on our emotional well-being, trying to heal from our childhoods, trying to heal from all the trauma that we've been through in adulthood because we didn't learn how to protect ourselves and weren't raised to be emotionally mature enough to handle these relationships when we got out in the real world. Like, bro, no, I done been through hell and back. I ain't about to sit here and deal with y'all bullshit. Like, head ass, no. I see y'all on the flip side. Like, no. And you've got a problem with it, guess what? You can pick up the phone and have a conversation with me, but don't nobody want to have that conversation. No one else have that conversation. So, I'm loving this hat scarf thing situation I got going on. It's very fun. It's very, very fun for me. Okay, if I don't read now, then I'm not going to finish the chapter. So let me go ahead. Rejecting parents seem to have a wall around them. They don't want to spend time with their children and seem happiest if others leave them alone to do what they want. Their children get the feeling the parent would be fine if they didn't exist. These parents' irritated demeanor teaches their children not to approach them, something one person described as running towards someone only to have the door slammed in her face. They summarily reject attempts to draw them into affectionate or emotional interactions. If pushed for a response, they may become angry or even abusive. These parents are capable of punitive physical attacks. Rejecting parents are also the least empathic, They're also the least empathic of the four types. They often use avoidance of eye contact to signal their distaste for emotional intimacy, or sometimes employ a blank look or hostile stare designed to make others go away. These parents rule the home, with family life revolving around their wishes. A well-known example of this type is the aloof and scary father, a man with no emotional warmth for his children. Everything revolves around him, and the family instinctively tries to not upset him. With a rejecting father, it's easy to feel apologetic for existing. But mothers can be rejecting too. Children of rejecting parents come to see themselves as bothers and irritants, causing them to give up easily. Whereas more secure children tend to keep making requests or complaining to get what they want. This can have serious ramifications later in life when, as adults, these rejected children find it hard to ask for what they need. Beth's story. Beth's mother, Rosa, never showed any enthusiasm about spending time with her. When Beth visited, Rosa resisted hugs and immediately found something to criticize about Beth's appearance. She usually urged Beth to call a relative as soon as Beth walked in the door, as though to redirect her elsewhere. If Beth suggested spending time together, Rosa acted irritated and told Beth she's too dependent on her. When Beth telephoned her mother, anything Beth said was usually cut short, as Rosa quickly found an excuse to get off the phone, often giving the phone to Beth's father. A little sprinkle of that too. Child. I don't have nothing additional to say. Rejecting parents. Boom. The exercise. This is where we're going to keep track of the different things, okay? So exercise, determining your parent's type. And I'm going to do this for myself. Got my pencil. Determining your parent's type. To assess which of these four types might fit your parent, read through the following list and check off the characteristics you associate with your parent, bearing in mind that parents of any type can exhibit traits of the other types when very stressed. Characteristics of emotional immaturity common to all types include self-preoccupation, low empathy, disregard for boundaries, resisting emotional intimacy, poor communication, an absence of self-reflection, refusal to repair relationship problems, emotional reactivity, impulsiveness, and problems sustaining emotional closeness. Right? As before, if you'd like to complete the assessment website. Okay, so we're going to do the assessment, y'all. All right, emotional parent. The first category is emotional parent. Is your parent preoccupied with his or her own needs? Is preoccupied with his or her own needs. First one is preoccupied with his or her own needs. The second one is has low empathy. Does your parent have low empathy? The next one is enmeshed and not respectful of boundaries. The parent is enmeshed and not respectful of boundaries. Is defensively non-intimate. Is defensively non-intimate. The next one says, doesn't engage in reciprocal communication, just talks about himself or herself. Does not engage in reciprocal communication, just talks about himself or herself. The next one says, is not self-reflective. Is not self-reflective. The next one says, has poor relationship repair skills. Has poor relationship repair skills. The next one says, is reactive, not thoughtful. Is reactive, not thoughtful. Next one says, is either too close or too distant. Is either too close or too distant. Is either too close or too distant. Next one, blows up and cuts others off. Blows up and cuts others off. The next one, has frightening or intimidating emotional intensity. Has frightening or intimidating emotional intensity. We're still in emotional parent, okay? The next one for emotional parent says, expects his or her child to provide soothing and doesn't think about the child's needs. Expects his or her child to provide soothing, excuse me, that was rude of me, and doesn't think about the child's needs. All right. The next one says, likes to pretend he or she doesn't run the show. Likes to pretend he or she does not run the show. And then the last one for emotional, in the emotional parent category, says, sees himself or herself as a victim. Sees himself or herself as a victim. You got those tallied up for emotional parent? All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to driven parent. Driven parent. The driven parent is your parent a driven parent in this way? So check the things that apply to your parents. One, both, however many parents you got, check the ones that apply. Driven parent is preoccupied with his or her own needs. Is preoccupied with his or her own needs. Has low empathy. Has low empathy. Is enmeshed and not respectful of boundaries. Is enmeshed and not respectful of boundaries. So a lot of these have the same thing. Is defensively non-intimate. Is defensively non-intimate. Doesn't engage in reciprocal communication, just talks about himself or herself. So we still have those. Doesn't engage in reciprocal communication, just talks about himself or herself. Is not self-reflective. Is not self-reflective. I'm just going to say the ones that I know I just read, I'm going to say them only once, okay? Has poor relationship repair skills. Is reactive, not thoughtful. Is either too close or too distant. All right, now we're getting into the specifics of the driven parent. Has rigid values and perfectionist expectations. Has rigid values and perfectionist expectations. Is goal obsessed and busy with machine-like tunnel vision. Is goal obsessed and busy with machine-like tunnel vision. Sees his or her child as a reflection without considering what the child wants. Sees his or her child as a reflection, without considering what the child wants. Likes to run the show. The driven parent likes to run the show. And the last one for driven parent is sees himself or herself as a fixer. Sees him or herself as a fixer. The next one, passive parent. Passive parent, we're going to go through the list of the ones that we already saw, is preoccupied with his or her own needs, has limited empathy, limited, not low, has limited empathy, is enmeshed and not respectful of boundaries, can be sporadically emotionally intimate, engages only minimally in reciprocal communication, mostly talks about himself or herself. Engages only minimally in reciprocal communication, mostly talks about himself or herself. isn't self-reflective, is not self-reflective at all, has limited relationship repair skills, can be thoughtful on occasion, the passive parent can be thoughtful on occasion. They're either too close or they're too distant. Can be kindly and fun, but not protective. The passive parent can be kindly and fun, but not protective. Has a laissez-faire attitude that all is well. Is affectionate towards the child, but doesn't stand up for him or her. Is affectionate towards the child, but does not stand up for him or her. Likes someone else to run the show or be the bad guy. The passive parent likes someone else to run the show or be the bad guy. And the passive parent, lastly, sees himself or herself as mellow and good-natured. They see himself or herself as mellow and good-natured. All right. The last one, before we get into the summary, the last list is the rejecting parent. Rejecting parent is preoccupied with his or her own needs. Shows no empathy. Has impenetrable boundaries. They have impenetrable boundaries. The rejecting parent seems disconnected and hostile. They seldom engage in communication. Is not self-reflective. For rejecting parent, is not self-reflective. Has no relationship repair skills. 0. Has no relationship repair skills. Is reactive, attacking, and demeaning. The rejecting parent is reactive, attacking, and demeaning. Is too distant. Rejecting parent is too distant. Rejecting parent ignores his or her child or can be rageful towards the child. Rejecting parent ignores his or her child or can be rageful towards the child. Is often rejecting and angry. Rejecting parent is often rejecting and angry. The rejective parent sees his or her child as a bother and doesn't want to get near the child. The rejecting parent sees his or her child as a bother and doesn't want to get near the child. The rejecting parent likes to mock and dismiss. The rejecting parent likes to mock and dismiss. The rejecting parent sees himself or herself as independent from others. This is the last one. Rejecting parent sees himself or herself as independent from others. The summary for this says, all 4 types of emotionally immature parents are self-involved and insensitive and therefore emotionally unavailable to their children. Their lack of empathy makes them hard to communicate with and difficult to connect with. They're all afraid of genuine emotion and seek to control others for their own comfort. None of them make their children feel emotionally seen. All are draining to be around in their own ways, and ultimately all interactions center around them. In addition, all are incapable of true interpersonal reciprocity. Although there are 4 general types of emotionally immature parents, the children tend to fall into 2 main categories: internalizers and externalizers. In the next chapter, we'll take a look at these 2 very different coping styles. Oh, I didn't mean to turn that light off. Well, y'all, we finished chapter 4. We are pretty much halfway through the book now. That was heavy. Ooh, Y'all hear that? That's my sternum that does that. Oof, that's weird. Anyway, that was heavy. Whew, y'all take that into your weekend. All right. Take that into your weekend. Contemplate over if your parents fall into these categories. If you notice that your parents have emotional immaturity and they ruled with emotional immaturity and it never improved, think about the categories that your parents might fall into. They might be strongly leaning towards one or two categories, or they may have a little bit of all of them. But when you're thinking about that, be forgiving of yourself and the child that you were when you were under their care. Be forgiving of yourself. I know that your younger self may have blamed yourself for the things that your parents did, but it wasn't your fault. You didn't do it. Even if there were times where you were bad, there's a certain level of learning and conditioning and stuff. There's things that play into your bad behavior, whether it's your environment, whether it's what you were taught, whether it's your environment in school, or even like bad behavior, or even like something like a learning disorder, or just being neurodivergent and that being called bad behavior. Like, there are so many different factors that play into who we are and how we are when we're growing up. And I know when you have emotionally immature parents, like being the child of that, you carry a lot of guilt and you carry a lot of shame, but it wasn't your fault. It was not your fault. And we're going to go into the different types of children that are produced of these parents next week, coming Monday at 6 p.m. But be easy on yourselves this weekend. Be kind to yourself. Rest when you need to. I know Mother's Day is this weekend. So up until, be kind to yourself and know that your parents did the best that they could with what they had at the time. You did the best that you could as their child, and you're doing the best that you can. And you just have to continue to do your best. Remember when we read the 4 agreements? You have to continue to do your best. Always do your best. And if you didn't do your best today, you can do it. Try again tomorrow. Or try again when you realize you weren't doing your best in that moment. Y'all gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. I know this stuff is hard. I know the shadow work hard. I know it is. But we're gonna get through it. I promise y'all. I love y'all. I'm back. Listen, the scarf ponytail was only for today. Let me. Michael Jackson. Ooh. For me. Look, Michael Jackson, right? Formation, right? T.I. Oh man, I love y'all. I love y'all. Y'all are loved. Y'all are loved by me. I am loved by y'all. And I appreciate y'all being here. I'm really excited to see y'all next week. And I'm gonna be rested up. I'm gonna do my best. I'm busy every day, but I'm gonna do my best to get rested up so that I'm good for y'all next week. Okay? Love y'all. I hope y'all have a good weekend. Y'all have a good weekend. Have fun this weekend. Do something fun this weekend. Do something fun. Do something that is productive, and do something that makes you feel like you have done some self-care. Okay? Have a good weekend. Have a great weekend. It's gonna be warm outside. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. It's gonna be warm. All right. I'll see y'all later. I'll see y'all next week. Bye. Is it bad that I don't want to get off the camera because I feel really pretty right now? I'm gonna end YouTube first. All right, YouTube. See you later.